affects a person in several different ways. So we're looking at some difficulties in different areas that would include maybe communication, speaking, listening skills, as well as the ability or lack of ability to socialize in various situations. And then you might see some other behaviors, maybe some repetitive behaviors, or what we would call stereotypic behaviors, but maybe someone playing with something in a repetitive way, continuing the same behavior several times.
It's a little bit hard sometimes.
I'm mostly like everybody else. You know?
In 1994, when I was 15 years old, I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome.
There are lots of different theories and different ideas on what is affected and how someone develops or has autism.
Without a doubt in my mind, I believe vaccinations triggered Evan's autism. We do believe, because we were the witness with our child, our firsthand witness after we came home from the doctor's office and saw this regression of a child that was perfect and then slowly fading away.
And we stopped giving Austin shots because we didn't know. It was still in the beginning of our diagnosis. And as we learned more and more about Austin, we were seeing pieces in the family. When genetics are passed on generation to generation, they usually intensify.
They're putting it towards fevers in mothers when they were pregnant, who had fevers longer than 10 days. I don't know if you read the report.
No.
That's the new one this week. When we first started down this journey, it was the MMR shots, the immunization shots the kids got when they were 2 or whatever, 2.5, whenever they got them. And it's gone through a huge. It changes every 6 months on what they think it is, you know. And we were the same way. We thought, okay, we was diagnosed. We thought it was going to be. That's what it was the immunization shots, and it changes.
I've come across people who believe that some parents with kids with autism have done something in their past to create this problem, and that's really unfortunate for the parents. We also come across people who believe that parents with children with autism who are misbehaving, perhaps out in the community, are poor parents, or that they have no parenting skills, or again that the parents are causing those issues, those behavioral issues for those children. And very unfortunate, but we do come across that quite a bit.
Autism, since I'm not talking about autism, a fraud, a racket. For a long while we were hearing that every minority child had asthma. Why was there an asthma epidemic amongst minority children? Because I'll tell you why. The children got extra welfare if they were disabled, and they got extra help in school. It was a money racket. Everyone went in and was told, when the nurse looks at you, you go, I don't know, the dust got me. So everyone had asthma from the minority community. That was number one. Now the illness du jour is autism. You know what autism is? I'll tell you what autism is in 99% of the cases. It's a brat who hasn't been told to cut the act out. That's what autism is. What do you mean they scream and they're silent? They don't have a father around to tell them, don't act like a moron, you'll get nowhere in life. Stop acting like a putz. Straighten up, act like a man. Don't sit there crying and screaming, idiot. Autism. Everybody has an illness. If I behaved like a fool, my father called me a fool.
Usually, someone like that really probably doesn't have any type of exposure to people with special needs at all. I mean, it's really easy, you know, to look at something from the outside and say that, you know, or be tougher on your kids, or you know, they need to straighten up, or they just need to tell them to knock it off, but it's
not like that.
It's not like that.
It's you know,
no.
He's just an uneducated fool.
The biggest challenge has been when I reached out for help, not getting it. And that's simple. There's no more explaining to that. It's getting help for these high-functioning children. Because he can feed himself, he can talk. the high functioning are left behind.
Matthew and I and his sister Amanda were at some kind of store, like some kind of clothing store or something. And Matthew was running around, and Amanda, being the big sister, she chased him, just to keep him close by. And she accidentally knocked over something when she was chasing to keep track of her brother. And some older lady came to me and looking straight at Amanda and saying, well, my grandkids never do that. My grandkids never misbehave in a store like that. And I said, well, isn't that great that your life is so perfect and your grandkids are just so perfect? And I remember I was so mad because I thought, how dare she, make my daughter feel bad because she's looking straight at Amanda trying to scold her. And here Amanda was just being a good big sister. She was just watching out for her brother, which is what she always has done. And I thought, what gives you the right to make my kid feel bad about anything? But it's just unbelievable how much people don't understand about what they see, or that they somehow feel that they have a right to say something.
Because of the information that's out there, they have a certain kind of, expectation of what you're supposed to be like, because they don't have enough experience to know that we're all different. They all think we're going to be like the Temple Grandin or the Rain Man types, and they have that kind of expectation, and then they Google it, and you tell them, particularly, and I've noticed this, particularly when I'm looking for jobs and stuff. I tell my employers, and they will look it up, they'll Google it on the information. A lot of the information you get out there is kind of stereotypical, and some of it's not really all that great because it's written most of it is written from the perspective of people who don't have it.
You have to earn another lifetime's earnings.
Yeah.
Not just your lifetime, another lifetime.
Another person's lifetime's earnings, because, you might, like I said, my greatest fear is what happens when he's 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, after we're already, dust in the ground, and that's my biggest fear.
Sometimes sometimes I kind of feel I'm going to lose my temper.
No, honey. And you know what? If you do, that's okay. Other people lose their temper, too.
I've always been known for, I remember I used to have been having a lot of temper tantrums with the temper. I used to get angry a lot. Yeah, but I've been taking anger management classes, and I've been better. I'm not too, I'm more easygoing.
The sensory is processing disorder is they don't process it like in a normal way. Like if he gets really, really excited, he doesn't know how to, like how we get tired, or we know how to kind of mellow it out, where they don't. They overstimulate. They have to be stimulated all the time. So they stimulate themselves because they don't know how to have that balance. So one he could be so happy and so ecstatic, overly, and then drop in seconds. And that's the processing that they get too overly excited that they don't know how to balance it to normality. So their normality is when they do go down, it's not that they're depressed, they're just sad because they don't know what that feeling is of not being at that super, super high. So it's actually just being a normal level, but to them it is devastating.
He was just mad. He hit the teacher once and tried to resolve it, and she would not communicate with me. And we realized, oh my gosh, he was in anxiety. And when we started to talk about second grade, he would have his meltdowns. And the anxiety that was created from this teacher in this first grade was so overwhelming, he couldn't even walk back on the campus. The last month of school, he turned around and asked me, he told me, he goes, Mama J, I don't mean to hurt your feelings, but I'm kind of getting bored at home. And I said, well, that's okay. He goes, I want to go to school and make friends.
When I was homeschooled, it was better when I was in second grade, but once I got into third grade, it started getting lonely, and I really wanted to make some friends.
So junior high was hard. He was worried about kids bullying him. He was worried about losing his temper and getting mad at kids. But it's always the same kind of thing. It's always like a buildup of being, it's more of a being worked up about something so much to the point that it just gets beyond unrealistic.
I'm a little bit of, no, I have fear. I'm not really in fear, you know, I'm not intimidated by the fear. You know, I'm a little excited to go to high school, you know, I think I really would love to see their drama classroom. I've seen a bit of their plays, and I think I'd love to do a play like them.
What kind of stuff you want to do that?
No, not the crossing the bridge thing. No.
Oh, all right.
No, I was thinking, you know, I'm a little too intimidated by popular people, and, you know, I'm kind of not the person. Remember how, you know, the cousin, my cousin's a cheerleader, you know, I always thought cheerleaders were not supposed to be nice to me. And I kind of, yeah.
Well, we talked about that because that was the other thing. Remember, every single year, every single new school year, you'd always worry about people bullying you.
Yeah,
and
you gotta talk about it on the camera. Yeah. Well, with me out of the room.
Okay. Oh, out of the room. Okay. All right.
Action.
Nobody could like almost walk into his bedroom because it would be the meltdown situation because we were going to move something out of place. So characteristics obviously for kids with autism or Asperger's in our case are that things must be a certain way, a certain specific way, and if they're moved, the world just ended. And we went through the number stage, everything had to have a numeric number on the front of his shirt, and then we also went through the Laker stage. Everything had to be Laker clothing, otherwise he
He'd
was
wear it
not
every day.
wearing it. And would not wear pants. We still deal with that to a degree, but when it's cold, he understands that it's cold outside, and if I'm going to be smart, I'm going to put some pants on.
We had one like a really long time ago, like 2008, but then it started all dying. But then it was like hot in 2011 through 2012 winter, and then it got hot, and so we wanted to plant a garden. The coolest was the grape, because I like grapes. It's like a delicious, healthy snack.
When he loves something, he's just very, 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 very into it. So to the point where, you know, it's tough to think about other things too. So you know, he actually does work a lot on that because there's times where he's like, okay, I've got to really stop talking about Star Wars, or I've got to really stop, and I've got to do, you know, whatever actually needs to be done. And he knows, you know, he works on, you know, having regular conversations with people too, even though he may want to talk about, you know, movies or Star Wars and stuff. He definitely works on talking to people about things that he knows that they like to talk about.
Yeah, and Star Wars and the whole movie thing was not his first passion.
Yeah.
When he was younger in life, it was dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And, you know, where we would call a dinosaur a Tyrannosaurus Rex, he'd refer to it by its legal scientific name, you know, and he knew all of them. I mean, absolutely every one of them. And his memory is unbelievable. He has a memory like an elephant. I mean, he remembers facts and details that you and I just can't comprehend.
Go on the 5, drive all the way up till it reaches Canada. Then you keep straight. You turn left. Then go up. Then it'll be the 5 will turn to the 99, and then like keep going till the 99 reaches the 97. You turn left, and then you go until it reaches Alaska 2, and then to Anchorage you go on the 1. Or if you go to Fairbanks, you could take the 3.
The sports league came in.
The sports league, we kept him active with that, social, and we ended up going to the speech and language. We've been there for almost 2 years now, and has helped him with his social, his behaviors, his emotions.
He's always been in some sort of sports program, you know, different programs throughout his life. It's to hone those social skills that typically kids with autism are lacking. And the sports league that he's in it's done a great thing for him. I mean, he's made new friends. He's had a friend from his school join the league, and I've had the opportunity to coach him, so it's brought us closer in that regards. But it's been a really good thing.
The moment that is most meaningful to me as a clinician is when you see that child make that initial connection. Usually it comes with communication or just understanding that at that moment he has control over his environment and that he can point to something and gain access to it, or he can put his arms up and have his mother pick him up. I mean, those are moments that they're pretty significant moments for each of those kids, and so we get to experience that every day.
I basically, live, an independent life. I have my own room and, pay my bills and stuff, pay the rent, and I try to be, do as much of, try to be like a normal, adult as much as possible, but we're all different, so some of us, that's not going to happen.
We actually know of many cases of children graduating high school and going on to college and actually working independently.
I work as a desk assistant at ABC News at their bureau in Los Angeles. I work at the news desk. I basically assist the assignment manager and the producers. We can go out in the field and shoot videos for Good Morning America and World News. We can also write .com stories, anything except making coffee.
I want to be an engineer.
He can come up with things that people and your typical people just can't do. And he just comes natural for him.
I always wanted to be an actor, I've always, have a love for television, movies, and I was like, boy, I would love to be up there, One day I want to journey to Hollywood, see them all, see actors I've ever seen on television, see them make the movies, I want to see them all.
Ideally, he could be self-sufficient, but that is the ideal, and that's what you work towards. But you've also got to prepare for the fact that he may not. I mean, I was reading somewhere it's a 85% unemployment rate for people with autism. 85%.
And I don't want him to be self-sufficient. I want him to have fun in life.
And I don't want to give people false hope, because people look at people like me and they think, oh, I'd like to have that for my son. When, I just say that doing what I'm doing may not be possible for your son. And I know it's a hard thing to say, but find what your son is good at, and try to just look at or your daughter, because there's a lot of, I didn't realize I said son a lot, but there's a lot of women who have autism also. And I would say, just kind of love your child and accept them, and no matter what they do, and never look at them as a burden, and, just try to, do what most parents would do, and try to want what's best, but don't ever give up on them.